everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Chatting with the Lightkeeper. I'm Edward, if you didn't already know that. And of course, if you know that, then you also know that I kind of go by Chatting with the Lightkeeper online, and thus the exciting title to this podcast. Well, I hope everyone is having a fabulous week and here in my neck of the woods. The upcoming weekend, the next weekend, will be a long weekend. It is our Memorial Day weekend, so it will be nice to have that bit of time off. And it's kind of the traditional plant your flowers weekend around here as well. Although I have already painted an absolute ton of flower pots and planted a lot of flowers. However, none of that is for me. It's just me being the sort of good neighbor, if you will. So my neighbors' flower pots and flower beds all look fantastic, and mine are still looking like it's January and empty. I do have a truck bed full of fresh potting soil and topsoil for a few projects, along with mulch. So I am all set to go. I just need to set aside the time to do that. So that's kind of on the upcoming thing. And the other thing that's been on my mind, I'm not going to say what I'm working on. It's something I will reveal when I have finished my creation, although I think this is one of those creations that'll never actually be finished. It'll always be a work in project or work in progress. It might be finished for, I don't know, a month, 6 months, a year, and then there'll be more things to do or more things I want to change. But I've started a new project, and the realm of it is all new to me. It's not necessarily out of my comfort zone, but I don't have a background in the skill set that I need to do it. So I have been learning on the fly. And through the whole process, I am making an absolute ton of mistakes. I am goofing up left and right to my friends who sort of have a clue. Actually, a few of them actually do have clues. But in this regard, I'm not saying they're clueless or that I'm clueless. That's not the case. We can all be clueless at times. But to my friends that have the background and the skill set, um, it's been a challenge for me because I get frustrated, want to scream, want to pick up the phone, call them and say, "Hey, I'm stuck here. How do I get unstuck? Or what am I doing wrong?" And then the other side of my head is, "Oh my God, you've already called them, in the last week to ask for advice. You can't go back to the well." And so you're left stuck wondering, do I ask? How do I figure this out? I'm stuck. I'm frustrated. You're kind of feeling like you're banging your head against a brick wall. And that doesn't exactly feel very good. Not that I make it a habit of walking around and smashing my head into brick walls. I typically save that for skiing when I smash my head into rock hard snow. I do wear a helmet. So, but anyway, that got me thinking with all the frustration that I'm feeling as I'm going down this path into a new adventure. I am learning tons, getting better every day with it. And then it seems like as I get better, and oh yeah, I got this. I don't have it. What I thought I had, I didn't have, and then I've got to go back and restart, and then three-quarters of the way through, oh my goodness, no, it'd be better if I did that. And so it got me thinking as I worked through this project, which has its moments of enjoyableness where I'm enjoying it greatly, especially when I kind of sit back and make myself look around and say, look at how much you've learned. Look at where you were when you started this just, you know, less than 14 days ago. And it's pretty kind of awesome. And then I sit back down and go back at it, and the awesome feeling and pride in what I've done goes away because I'm stuck or hit a speed bump or something like that. But that got me thinking about the lifestyle in general. Um, if you are new, it's got to be very much like what I'm going through with my little new to me project. In a way, the lifestyle would be a new project. And the other thing too with the lifestyle, even if you are an old hand, you've been around for a while, every day it's changing, it's evolving. There are so many things that are new from when I first started, and there's going to be new stuff out there today. And that's good and well, and so even if you are an experienced person, you can get frustrated because suddenly the terminology that you were used to, maybe it's changed, or maybe maybe it's just completely different. So no matter where you are in your lifestyle journey, just like me with my project, we're learning. And some of the frustrations that I've run into kind of got me also thinking about the lifestyle, like my hesitancy to ask, to pick up the phone and phone a friend, even though it's not my project's not being on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. It's unfortunately something that is not going to ever make me a million, I don't know, million anything, other than a million shades of frustrated. I guess it would probably just be better to say 50 shades of frustrated. But yeah, we don't want to ask people because we don't want to annoy them. Oh, it's just, I'm sure it's a simple thing, and if I had a little more experience, I'd know the answer. So I don't want to ask, or I don't want to intrude. It's the other thing I'm famous for. I can look at the time of day and feel like I'm intruding. Oh, I don't want to call because it's during I don't want to call, or I don't want to text or email because it's work hours. Oh, I don't want to text now because it's dinner time. Or I don't want to call because I think, boy, it's about time that it's bedtime for their kids. So that would interrupt. We can all find reasons to not reach out when we need help or we're stuck. And this whole project has really reminded me of that. And in BDSM, we see it all the time, or just, plain old being kinky. We see that where people don't want to reach out because not only do we have all the regular reasons, like, oh, it might be bedtime, or I'm sure they're busy, I'm sure they get a ton of messages, or boy, I'm not sure who to ask that question to. All these, we can find all sorts of reasons to not ask, not reach out. But within the whole BDSM kink world, learning and getting our questions answered is so, so important. First of all, I mean, there's our physical safety thing. If we are involved in the lifestyle, we have to be very, very conscious of our physical safety. If, things go wrong, we can put ourselves at risk. Or not only that, I mean, if things go wrong, I mean, we could be thinking things could go right and something goes left and we end up hurting ourselves or hurting somebody else. So physical safety is a huge part of that. And then, of course, there's the emotional safety in the whole wonderful world of the lifestyle. We are really oftentimes opening ourselves up on a deeper, more profound level than what we may have done in the past in our vanilla life. So we are sort of putting our physical well being out there as well as our mental well being, which I don't know which heals faster. I guess it all depends on the injury. But there's so much to learn about the lifestyle where our safety is dependent. The other thing that is different in the lifestyle is we take consent seriously, and having conversations around consent um, is new for most people when they come to the lifestyle, even if they've been very pragmatic or very into consent with past partners in the vanilla world. Um, Here in the lifestyle, typically consent gets sort of taken to that proverbial next level. And then there's the discussions of your boundaries and limits. That doesn't happen all that often in the vanilla world, where you might go to coffee for somebody, that you are interested in, possibly getting to know to date, and you have a conversation about what what things are off limits. And it doesn't necessarily, I'm not talking about, you know, actual kinktastic play things like, oh, I'll do this, I won't do that when it comes to play, but just in the lifestyle, we're much more open about our limits with what we will accept, what we won't accept from a partner. And we negotiate and we talk about things and we have these hard conversations, which are different than vanilla. So that's so important to learn about how to have those, learn about how to have them better. Um, which brings me into communication, right? We have to be great communicators. And even though I write some poetry now and again, and people tell me that my written word or that, I seem like I'm a great communicator, I can be at times, and other times I will admit I can be a horrible communicator. I can possibly run into somebody where our communication styles are completely different. So I may not communicate the way that they're wanting me to communicate to them, and they're not communicating to me in the way that works for me. So my communication skills are always kind of under advisement or under improvement. I'm always trying to become a better communicator, especially when it comes to talking about things intimately. It's something that I haven't done in quite a while, and so to have uh, those wonderful little intimate conversations, it would be I don't know, is it like riding a bike? It's like I said, it's been a while, so I'm hoping it's like riding a bike, but I know my bike was a little sketchy beforehand, so my communication bike, that is, my actual bike that I ride for entertainment and stress relief, is not sketchy. I love it. But my communication bike, I imagine that would stand a tune-up or two, and definitely somebody who is willing to work with some of the hurdles and bumps that come with that, and also kind of coming with the whole communication and consent and negotiation and boundary things is building trust. And I think there's a certain age where we get to in life where if it hasn't happened to you, that's fantastic. But um, at some point, somebody is going to take advantage of our trust. So it makes our trust building process different going forward after that. Sometimes it can be good, it can be helpful, we can learn from it. Other times it can be very unhelpful and cause issues down the road. So that whole trust building, maintaining, growing, that is something in the lifestyle that is something we need to learn about and we need to work on. And I don't think there's probably too many people that can say, "Hey, I'm an excellent person at giving and receiving trust." And just because we've all had some bad experiences, um, we can we can probably all stand to do a little tune-up work on that as well. And like I said, within the lifestyle, it's so easy to not invest in learning any of these things. And these are just four little things. Safe, well, they're not little, but consent, safety, communication, and trust. There's obviously so much more to the lifestyle because, we talk about, well, all the physical fun activities we can enjoy. There's a lot of learning on how to do things there, what not to do, what to do if something goes wrong, and all kinds of things there. But these are just four areas that kind of pop to mind that maybe as a group we could do better at learning about. And so let's talk about how we learn to do better at the lifestyle, how we can be better partners, better dominants, better submissives, better just, plain kinktastic people. The first thing we can all do is we can all pick up a book. I know there are people out there who, I don't like to read. I totally get that. So read little bits or pick up I almost said book on tape, but who actually uses a tape player anymore? Um, Go to Audible, go to wherever it is you find your your books and find an Audible book where, you can be driving to work and somebody will be reading the book to you, or you can be out for your evening bike ride and somebody's reading a book to you. Whatever it is, you don't have to take away the time to read the book. You have somebody reading it to you. You could be folding clothes while doing laundry and having, the book read to you. There's a lot of great reading material out there within the lifestyle. I just have to say it. This though, even though there's a ton of great reading material, make sure that you are not reading fiction. You're not reading erotic stories and thinking that this is what real life is going to be like, because yeah, life never really mirrors things like that well at all. Um, and if you don't like books or audible books, pop online, go to some reputable sites, read articles, and maybe even watch some, videos. There are, and I'm not talking about porn videos, I'm talking, educational, how to or how to have conversations. There's a lot of great people out there that do put their stuff out there. So head on over, see what you like, see what resonates with you. When it comes to actual physical books, I am a book person. So there's kind of as a team of authors. It's Dossie Easton and Janet Hardy. They co-wrote 3 books that I would highly recommend. There's the new topping book, which is kind of all about the whole dominant side because a top is another word for dominant. And then there's the opposite, and it's a separate book, the new bottoming book. Even if you are a um, top or a dominant, read the bottoming book. And if you're a bottom or submissive, read the topping book too. It's good to see things from the other side. So I would highly recommend those 2 books, no matter the role. And if you are curious about poly relationships, open relationships of any kind, they have a book called The Ethical Slut, and it is absolutely fantastic. And even if you're not poly, it's a fantastic book on relationships because it takes so much to make a poly or open type relationship work that even people who are monogamous, there's tons you can learn in that to make your monogamous relationship even better. So let's say you are not a book or, you know, audible book, audiobook fan. Um, there's something there in all those ways, whether it's online forums, discussion groups, uh, that you can find a way to learn because you need to get some basic knowledge or better your knowledge before diving deeper into the kinktastic pool that we are all swimming in. And here in my neck of the woods, it would be a fantastic afternoon for a swim because it is warm and humid, which probably means there's going to be some storms coming later, which would be fantastic. I love a good thunderstorm. As long as the thunderstorm doesn't come with, say, a tornado, we're good. Or really big hail because, well, my car is outside at the moment. So that wouldn't be ideal at this point in the day. But there are those suggestions. And also, there's workshops and classes you can go to. And I know that a lot of people, when I say attend a workshop or a class, well, I don't know, the response will be, I don't know if I want to really um, go to in-person events. And while COVID was whatever it is, you can label uh, the COVID thing, the whole COVID time as however you want. Um, I prefer now to look back at COVID and try to see some of the positives. Um, and one of the big glaring positives that have come out of it is how online components for many, many things have blossomed. Grocery shopping is something that I do not enjoy. If you know me, you know that going to the grocery store is not it's not a top 10 thing for me. So I love that. I guess it was kind of around a little bit here and there. prior to the COVID fiesta. And now, though, because of COVID and the way it worked, online ordering, online pickups, it's so much easier. And for somebody who is not a shopper, I so love the fact that I can, on a few clicks on my phone, order my groceries, pop by at my assigned time, and they are dropped off to me, and on the way I go. It just works awesome. And the other thing in the community, it's brought awesomeness too, because workshops and classes no longer require you to go, which is especially great if you are perhaps shy or you live in a not so urban area where maybe it would be an hour to drive, or maybe you live in a part of the world where, um, BDSM and kink is not something that is available. That's the word I'm looking for. It's not something that's available where you are. You can attend online classes and online workshops and have those learning experiences. And even if it's online, you're not necessarily getting the hands-on part of it that you perhaps could um, in person. You are still obviously seeing demonstrations done. You're seeing and being able to be a part of discussions with people who are knowledgeable and have so much of the classroom workshop experience right through, your wonderful, fantastic device that's electronic, whether it's your phone, tablet, old-fashioned computer, whatever it is. We have classes and workshops that are available to us in person or online, and they are fantastic to go. And the other thing that happens when we start to go down this and we start being involved, even little bits, reading articles or maybe having a online discussion or seeing an online discussion and interacting a little bit there. We're starting to build our own community. I think I talked about this recently and used the example of the Build-A-Bear workshop where you create your own stuffed animal. And really, the community we start to build as we start to go down the educational rabbit hole is where we start to make oftentimes our first, lifestyle friends. Not that friends for me are friends are friends. It doesn't matter whether they're super kinky, freaky, or if they are super conservative and what have you. A friend is a friend. But as you start to get just get the toes a little wet in the lifestyle, it is absolutely a fantastic way to start to make some connections, make some the beginnings of budding friendships. Um, and you don't necessarily have to attend in-person events to do this. You can do it online. You can do it, you know, through, the cyber side of the classes or the online side of workshops. And they're all fantastic. Of course, there are wonderful benefits of actually going and meeting people in person at munches and conferences and meetups and classes, all that wonderful stuff. But you start to sort of build your own little community. You start to build some connections, which is absolutely fantastic. Um, it makes reaching out a little less daunting when you do have a question. And I will say this, when you're starting to build that your own little sort of network, um, make sure that you are connecting with people that are on your side of the slash. It can be very easy to connect with people of the side of the DS slash, if that's your jam, that you would be interested in. If you're a dominant, it can be very inviting and natural to want to make connections with submissives. And if you're submissive, it can be very natural to want to make connections with a dominant. The the problem is that oftentimes, sometimes those connections are based on potential of liking them rather than building a friendship. When it just oftentimes it is. We sometimes build friendships with people on the other side of slash. We truly just friends. And other times it can be the friendship kind of grows out of um, one side or the other liking the other person first. But when you have friends that are on the same side of the slash as you, it's a great sounding board. It can be a great thing to say, "Hey, this happened to me," or I was talking to this submissive this week, and they said something that, even though we're kind of getting to know each other, I thought might be a red flag. What do you think about this? It works very well to just have sort of your own kinktastic circle that you can go to and ask questions and not be like me with my questions. Oh, it's during work hours, can't ask it now. Oh, it's dinner time. Oh, it's time for the kids to go to bed, can't ask. When you have that circle of friends, it makes asking easier and less intimidating. Um, that's just my thought there. And the other thing that happens as we dive deeper and we make more connections, there's this very, very old-fashioned thing that you don't see as often um, in sort of social circles or things like the wonderful lifestyle as much as we used to. It's still something that exists oftentimes in the corporate world, but it's mentorship. This is where you get to know somebody, they get to know you, and they are more experienced than you are, and they are sort of there to show you the ropes, to help you grow and do well and blossom. Um, a mentor is somebody who doesn't want anything from you other than to see you succeed. Um, in the lifestyle, it's very common to see people out there, especially on the dominant side, and especially among those on the dominant side with penises, where they want to not be your mentor, they want to be trainers to submissives. They want to teach submissives exactly what they like. And that sounds wonderful. But it's really just a ploy to get their little grubby paws on people who are fresh and new and shiny to the lifestyle. They want, yes, they might teach you a thing or two about the lifestyle, but it's not about your growth or your development, say, as a submissive. It's about them teaching you what they want and getting to um, enjoy somebody who is fresh, shiny, and new, doesn't know enough to perhaps say, no, this isn't what I want, or is a little intimidated to say that. It's, in my opinion, just a scam. So definitely look for people who are mentors that want to help you grow versus trainers where they don't want where they want to get their hands on you. A mentor will not. A mentor will want to just teach you and see you grow rather than sort of play with you to see if that helps you grow. So the thing too about mentors is it takes more than, and it used to be, and now it's a couple of times a month I get an email or a DM from somebody who's like, "Will you mentor me?" And I'm like, "Well, what do you want to learn?" And they confuse mentor with, "I just want to ask you a question." And there's nothing wrong with that. It's great to answer questions, but understand that mentorship, if you're going to go somebody and talk about being either being a mentor or being mentored, it does mean you're going to have to do a little work. You're going to have to get to know the person. You can't just send them a DM and say, "Hey, I like your content on Instagram. Will you be my mentor?" It takes getting to know somebody. It takes effort. In a way, you're sort of building maybe a situational ship rather than a friendship, a situational ship where you're friendly, but the rather than friendship, the situation is the mentoring or being mentored by them. It's not saying you can't become friends, but it's kind of based on that. But either way, because there's sort of the ship involved, where there, in this case, it's not a relationship, it's not friendship, it's mentorship. It means that you will have to put in a little time, a little effort, and a little work. But it's fantastic when you find somebody to, or not just somebody, there's nothing wrong with having more than one mentors or places you could go, more than one helpful voices. It's a wonderful thing. It's a good thing. And yeah, don't overlook that. The other thing that happens when we start our journey and start educating ourselves or stay continuously educated is it helps us handle all the myths and stigmas that come with BDSM. And let's face it, there's, so many out there that are, you know, there isn't any good misconceptions. They're all bad and ugly. So sorry, Clint Eastwood movie fans. Good, bad, and the ugly doesn't fit here. There's just a lot of bad and ugly. But when we educate ourselves and get a little bit of knowledge, it makes it easier for us to handle those misconceptions and those stigmas. Um, because oftentimes it's those misconceptions and stigmas that cause anxiety and fear within us as we start to go down the kinky rabbit hole. We can start to feel um, alone or feeling like there's something weird about us for liking this or liking that. What's wrong with me? I shouldn't like it. I was raised better. What have you? It creates all kinds of challenges and just can hold us back. It can, our fears, logical or not, about the lifestyle that come out of typically fears come out of misconceptions, or fearing society's judgment or struggling to accept ourselves. That's where they kind of come out of. So the more we invest in our lifestyle education, the easier it is to overcome these challenges, whether they're faced by somebody out there in society or within us in our own personal challenge. They really, really do help us. And finally, let's talk a little bit about continuing education. And whenever I hear somebody say continuing education, I always think of teachers because here in the States, if you are a teacher in the regular public school system here, you have to pretty much, I'm not sure if it's true everywhere, but most places, have to continue your education for every year you teach. You have to do so much, you know, learning, or every so many years you have to have done so much learning by a certain point in your career. And then all these wonderful like kickers and things happen in their professional lives based on the amount of continuing education. So that's what I always think of whenever somebody says continuing education is I think of teachers. But here in the lifestyle, everything is changing all the time. There's new terms coming. There's old terms that are, um, getting shuffled out that aren't as popular or are getting replaced because there's good reason to replace them. It's like the term daddy dominant is rapidly getting phased out and replaced by caregiver, which is, I think, fantastic. But there's always something new, and that is fantastic. So even if you are and have been around the lifestyle for a long time, the learning never stops because the lifestyle continues to evolve every day, every hour, every minute. So really, it's a lifelong commitment to learning and changing and growing as people, as a bigger community, all of that stuff. It's always changing, so we always have to stay abreast and keep learning. Even if you have been around the lifestyle for 20 some years, you will need to keep on keeping on, or it will leave you behind. So it's the education part of kink and BDSM never stops. It doesn't stop from the time you first go down the rabbit hole and it's super exciting and super frustrating and confusing altogether. Um, and it doesn't stop even when you have been around for a good long time. It keeps on keeping on. So it's very important, no matter where you are on your journey through life and the lifestyle, that you keep your education going. And please don't hesitate to reach out to people and ask questions. Ask the same question to different people to get different perspectives. Um, don't be an idiot like me who finds reasons to not ask the question, especially in the age of electronic devices. If I struggle with something with my little side project, I should send a text right now, even though it is technically during work hours. I could send the text now and they could see it. My friend that I'm asking for help would see it. Maybe they'd see it during work hours, maybe they wouldn't, but it'd be there waiting for when they had time to respond to me. So you're not in imposition to ask questions, and your question is not something that is dumb, stupid, that you should know the answer to, all those things. Please, people out there, ask your questions. It's all part of the learning curve, is asking, reading, learning, growing, becoming the best that you can be in life, in whatever it is that you want to be and being the best at it. Um, so, yeah, don't stop learning, don't stop educating yourself, and do ask those questions. So on that moment, that's all I had for this week. But it was one of those things where working on my new little project that I thought would be easy peasy and fun. It's still fun. It is not easy peasy. It is a pain in my rump, and yeah, but I'm enjoying it, and I do look forward to sharing it with you, hopefully in the next week or two, and saying, "Hey, here's what I've been struggling with," and you can see the results now. I will share them with you, everyone out there in the podcast. I'll share it with everyone on my socials and all that good stuff. But only when I get to the point where I'm comfortable with it, and right now, um, yeah, I am. I am thinking of sending some more text messages to get some help because I am in another stuck point. So that's been my week. I hope you've enjoyed this week's podcast. And if so, please, well, first of all, thank you for taking the time to listen. I do appreciate it. Especially, I know that we all have a lot of demands for our time, so I really appreciate you making the time to hear me talk here about learning and growing and all that good stuff. So thank you for that. And no matter where you're listening, there should be a nice little follow button if you scroll down on your screen, whatever kind of electronic device you are listening in on or with. Go ahead, scroll down, tap the follow button. All it'll do is just let you know when a new episode comes out, which is, of course, every Tuesday morning, at least every Tuesday morning, bright and early New York City time. And with that, I will say good day. Wish you all the best, and I look forward to chatting with you again next week.